going to call this the lowest level of consciousness. Anybody know what level this is? What we call this level?
Victim.
Victim. And if anybody gets lost, Falcon's going to help you out tonight, because he was taking copious notes last week. So yes, he was.
He retains everything.
He does. Okay, the next level is a higher vibration. And it's, anybody like M&M's? Manifestor, manipulator. Okay? Anybody remember how many people in the world are in the victim consciousness?
Most.
77.8%.
78. We're going to go with that. 78%. Here we've got 21 point something. What percentage is left when we add these two numbers together? 1% or less, actually. Okay. Next level here is, we're really getting up the ladder now, because 99% of the world is here.
The channeler.
Channel. And then last but not least, I'll say just less than 1%, right? And what did I hear, mystic? Or was I listening to my inner voice? So channel is a big, big deal, right? And just as far as joy and happiness and all those things are concerned, when you're really truly experiencing, when you get up in here, you're truly experiencing joy. So I like to kind of separate these channels out, or these levels of consciousness, and these are the 4 broad levels of consciousness. And in David Hawkins' work, he divides this up into many different sub-levels, right? So down here on the lowest level, we have shame. On the highest level here, in the victim consciousness, is pride. Pride built the military, right? Join the Marines. You know, pride is their go-to vibration. And it's a very high consciousness, really, because it's right on the verge of the next level. The next level up here, we have, the first level is courage, and then we have willingness and acceptance. And we're really starting to move up in consciousness. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we believe that there's anything above this physical experience. But when we begin to allow that to enter our willingness, if I can say it that way, then and we start saying, hey, and we start telling ourselves, hey, I really want to transcend this. I want to know what there seems to be more. We're getting this inner nudge. We're getting these voices. We're beginning to really feel this vibration here. We're becoming more sensitive to feeling rather than spending all of our time in the thinking mind. So we're moving from head to thought to heart, and ultimately wholeheartedness is beginning to combine the mind and the heart into one, a oneness. So when we get up to this level, mystic, this is the highest vibration attainable in physical form. But as we evolve up the scale, we experience more and more joy. So I see on the list that we've been given today by John that joy is at the top. Joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation, yeah, gratitude, right? And prayer, we talked a couple weeks ago, didn't we, about prayer? Was that here? Yes. We're teaching a couple classes, so please forgive me if I'm running things together. But what is prayer at the highest level of consciousness? It's just a song of gratitude, right? So the first thing on the list that John gave us tonight is really the vibration of mystic consciousness. Joy, knowledge, capital K knowledge, is not thinking mind. There's no intellect there. It's just a knowing. If you need to know something, it's available to you. You're tapped into the mind that knows all that there is to know. Empowerment, well, we could say that you're omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. That's what you really are in reality. So absolutely there is an empowerment in awakening to this level of consciousness. Freedom, absolute freedom. Absolute freedom. Love, well, that's what this whole energy level is. Here we could say in the world of form it's fear, but up here it truly is love. You're really tapping in, because once you cross over this threshold right here, you're in the vibration of love. when you get into this channeling, you're into this, you're really becoming uber sensitive here. You know, for myself, I'll just share, and I'm sure that you guys are experiencing it, of being able to read more and more and more feelings and vibrations. I had another dear friend this week that passed away yesterday morning. And he'd been on this journey with us since, I've known him since about 2004, maybe 2003 and 4. And he and I had many, he was about the same age as me, and we had lots of discussions about A Course in Miracles and the teaching that and when he passed, his family, he'd been able to influence their thinking quite a bit about, you know, transitioning. I had another person come to me this week and told me, and brings tears to my eyes, of course, that because she has learned about this pathway to awakening and getting some insight in what is going on with us when we transition, right? That she told me, she said, you know, because of what you guys are sharing, she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of death anymore. Now, you got to know that's a big deal for any of us to not be afraid. I remember my dad passed away. We had some conversations, and he was really steeped in traditional fundamental Christian, you know, theology, and he was scared of death, because he was really afraid of being judged. He was really, really afraid that he had lived a life and hadn't done the things that he needed to do to avoid going to hell forever, for all eternity. And that's a pretty scary concept, of course. I mean, yeah, teach us that. So that's not on the list. I don't see hell in there. Well, I see it in a few places: hatred, rage, jealousy, revenge. This is really a map of consciousness. And we could take these and probably plot these anywhere in our levels of consciousness, right? You can see that. But we can transcend this too, and we can say simply that these are called emotions, but there's really only two: fear and love. And if we go down this list, we could put each one of these into one of those two brackets, because that's what Jesus is telling us now, channeling through A Course in Miracles in particular, is that there's only two emotions you'll ever have: fear and love. And you can, different degrees of fear, right? And different degrees of love. But it's still only one thing: love, and truly only a lack of a love, or if you will, a connection to your higher self.